Okay? So suppose an effective annual euro-denominated interest rate is 6%. So let's say a euro 6% to borrow a loan. Actually, make it do a bond. Yeah, no, loan. So in Europe, if you're going to raise money, let's say a company, an American company, wants to go to Europe to build a manufacturing facility, right? Of course, they're going to build a manufacturing facility in Europe. So they need to borrow money in Europe. So they go to a European bank, and it says, can I get a loan? I have manufactured, it's going to cost me $100 million, this facility, because I'm going to make, I'm going to build, and make bags, whatever. So I'm going to need a loan to build a manufacturing company that makes bags. Okay? But if they get a US loan, if they get a loan in the US, right, 100 million, and they go over and pay the manufacturing, let's say the US charges them 7% rate. Let's do the currency rate too, so we have a perspective. So the currency rate, current currency rate, is $1.30 per 1 euro at the time, today. Okay? The company wishes to guarantee the dollar value of the payments. Since the firm will make debt payments in euros, in other words, if they take this, they make debt payments in euros, well, it's a US company making debt payments in euros, so the money is in the US, right? So to ship money into Europe, they have to get the currency. So every dollar is 130, and then they service the debt, right? But they want to lock in that. So they eliminate the currency exposure. So let's look at these two tables. I always do two tables. If they do it, if they swap into the US dollar, this is the swap, and pay the higher rate in US dollars, or stay at the 6% and pay euros, or pay euros. Do I pay 6% on my loan in euros and take the fluctuation, or do I pay 7% in dollars, fixed? So let's look at the two cash flows, right? So here, this is called the unhedged position, which basically the unswapped position. You don't swap, unhedged. US company pays 6% in euros, so they have to translate dollars into euros, right? So let's look at the cash flow. Let's say 3 years. The loan is 3 years. Okay, so I'm going to do only 3 payments, annual payments. So the unhedged position, what's the interest payment cash flow? First year, in euros, 100 million euros. What's the first payment? 6% 100 million. Yes? 6% 100? 6, right? 6% 106. Okay. So 6 euros. 6 euros fixed, and the last payment is 106. The 3-year loan, 6, 6, and 106 back. Got it? But because they're vulnerable to currency swaps, we call the currency derivatives investment banker and say, hold on a minute, what are you guys projecting rates of euro versus dollar? Can you give me the index that people play with? So they gave me the following. We think the rates will go to 132 next year. And then 134. So the dollar is going to weaken. And then $1.37. So those are the rates given to us. Well, people think the rates will go up the next few years. Okay? So this is the currency. So what it translates into cash flows for the US company. 1.32 times 6 in dollars, right? They're going to pay 7.92 in dollars. $134 times 6, it's 804 in dollars. 1.37 times 106 is 145.22 in dollars. Okay? If you do nothing at all, you take the European loan, you're a US company, you have to service the debt with US dollars. So now every time you make a payment, you have to translate the currency from US dollars to euro, or of course your rate, even though you pay 6% fixed, you have another thing to worry about. The currency is going up versus the dollar. So it gets more expensive for you, right? Especially the last payment. $100 million, the last payment is big. Let's assume you take the swap. In other words, somebody comes in and says, company, you can pay fixed percent, 7% fixed US dollars only. So this is the hedged position, or swap. So let's look at the cash flows there. Cash flow, so 1, 2, 3. What do you think the cash flows are? So if we use the 130 today, so now your loan is due 130 million, right? You swap the 100 million euros today to US dollar loan 130 million using the today's rate. But you pay 7% on 130. So 7% on 130 is your cash flow in dollars. 7% on 130, I'll give you that, is 910. And the last payment is $139.10 in dollars. Okay? Any questions so far? Now, if you think about it, looking with your eye, because we're going to do present value here. Here, of course, you pay less on the loan versus swapping it to fixed US dollars, probably losing about $1,018,000. Here, you still pay low. The difference is here, actually. We're going to look at it later. So what I do, I'm going to do a present value of these payments and present value of these payments, right? So present value of these payments and present value on these payments. How do you do present value? Of course, present value, we do one way, we do the bonds here. Present value of each payment, present value of each payment, using the same interest rate. And I'm going to use, in this case, we're going to use the 6% for both cases.
One is 7%.
6% on both. Because then you have equally, because 6% is what you lock in, so you want to see the benefits versus.
Yeah, but the American is 7%.
No, finance 101. You need to compare the 6% so you can see apples to apples. Okay, that's what you do. Because if you do 6% here, 7% here, you already know the present value of this. So you have to use the first 6% on both to get a benefit. Because if you unhedged, you're going to pay 6%. If you hedge 6%, is 7%, but the present value of not hedging is 6% for both, right? So 6% of 792, which is 792 divided by 1 plus 6%, the first power, right? And then 804 divided by 1.06, the second power, and 145.22 divided by 1 plus 0.06, the third power, right? So you do this, I get to 747, 716, so on present value, the future at 6%, I get 121.93. So if I add, this value proposition is going to cost me $136.56, which is actually, if you think about it, before doing the present value like you mentioned, which you were right, is more than the 130 million, right? Because that's the present value today, right? But let's do the 6% on this thing too. So 910 divided by 1.06 in the first power, 910 divided by 106 the second power, and 139.10 divided by 106 in the third power. So here I get 858. Here I get 810, and here I get 116.79. If I add it, is 133.47. So it looks like the benefit of swapping, even though you're paying higher, is better than if you don't swap. It's actually a benefit of $3.08. So right here, it tells you that take the deal, swap it today, lock in the 130, you pay in dollars at 130 here, 910, because if I do the calculation, it's better off doing now. If that number was 8%, of course, maybe it's not worth it. 6 and 8 might be, the differential in rates might be even higher than the interest rate, than the currency rate moving up, okay? So that's kind of the swap arrangement that works out.
How is the present value 4 minus 8? Divided by what? 1 plus?
Well, you know 101
Present value.
finance, right?
Yeah.
You know what present value is, right? It's future value divided by 1i in the n power to get the present value, right? Well, future value a year from now is 910. So if I want to bring in today's dollars at 6%, so 910 divided by 1 plus 0.06 in the first power, second power, third power, to get to the that. Okay. Of course, on Excel, you can do equal present value. The first one is the rate, the next one is the year, and the next one is the cash. If you press enter, you will get the same. Okay. And the last thing I want to talk about, but it's not going to be on the exam, is the so-called CDS. CDS. Anyone knows what CDS stands for? Credit default swap. Anyone can explain what it is?
When the credit, you lock in like credit for one, before like it goes up or goes down.
What credit?
Yeah.
But it has to hit a trigger. So they locked in it with say some percentage rate, but they only pay out if we say you locked in at 6%, whatever it was. They'll only pay out if it goes above that, or if you do the floor.
Don't worry about how it goes up and down. You can trade the CDS, but I don't worry about the CDS trading on now. It's like anything, like when we do options, we don't trade the premiums. We just assume we lock in the premium. For now, the only thing you have to know, it is part of the derivatives market, is because you expect a bond with default in the future. Okay? So it's an event-driven derivative. If you saw the movie The Big Short, exciting movie. Actually, I even have a little clip for you to watch it about the Jenga. The guy goes in, it's very funny. I may put it on if you would like to see it. It's actually on my website. Just that clip is funny. But it's basically in The Big Short, the movie, and they made a book, The Big Short. And if you saw that movie, there were 3 or 4 individuals that they predicted that the mortgage bond market, or the mortgages, the pool of mortgages that they are covering, all the mortgages that people have, will collapse. So how do you make money on something that collapses? And at the time, nobody expected the mortgages would collapse, because mortgages in general, they are guaranteed by the government. They will never allow mortgages to collapse, because the government is behind the mortgages. Is like sacred. Everyone has to own a home and that kind of thing. But if you saw the movie, the mortgages that they were putting in those funds, they were crappy mortgages called subprime mortgages. They are mortgages that people can't afford to pay them, basically. But nobody paid too much attention in the collateral that you're funding. So these 3 or 4 guys saw that, and they said, "There's no way this bond is going to stay. It's going to collapse. This bond against those mortgages, it will collapse." So how to make money? Nobody knew how to price it. They went to Goldman Sachs, if you remember. Goldman Sachs always find a way to find it. Yeah, we'll come create a CDS. He wanted more. AIG, which is the insurance company, they'd be gladly to give you that swap. In other words, what you do is like life insurance. Life insurance, if you think about it, is the biggest example of derivative, because it's an event-driven derivative. For me, if I die, I'm going to get paid $1 million. So that's the event, the death. So insurance will pay $1 million to my kids. But for me to keep that event up alive, if I die, I have to continue paying premiums every month. I pay $150 a month premium. Why? Just in case if I die, somebody gets paid $1 million. If I stop paying, then the contract is void. If I die after I pay, then nobody's gonna pay. So it's almost like you get into this habit of paying just in case I die, right? The same thing, the CDS. You pay premiums, continue paying premiums in anticipation that the bonds will default. Actually, the responsible thing to do, a lot of people, if you have bonds, if you're holding bonds, you might actually buy a CDS too. So if the bonds collapse because you're holding them, the CDS can actually cover you, basically. Because the CDS guarantees you get the bond price that you bought it from. So let's say I bought the bonds at 95 cents a dollar. But the company might go into bankruptcy. So I'm going to buy a CDS. And they went into bankruptcy. So now the bonds dropped into 30 cents a dollar. Nobody wants this thing. No one's going to come in. Don't worry, the CDS will cover me at that 95 level. Because somebody sold me that insurance, and they're going to pay, they're going to take the bonds from me, basically, at 30 cents a dollar, and they're going to pay me 95, whatever the rate is. So there's a CDS market, huge market, people going. Now, people are going to price things, because CDS at the end of the day is a probability of default. So if I know the CDS are trading very high, that means a high probability the company is going to default, right? It's all that. And it's funny because CDS trade on the rating agencies. So if somebody gets downgraded from a double B to single B, therefore the probability of default is higher, therefore the CDS now premium go up. It's almost like a patient that pays life insurance, now he has a heart attack. Okay? Of course, the premiums don't change. But now the insurance is, oh my gosh, this guy, now the probabilities are high, I'm going to be paying this thing. So I may have to keep some reserves on the side because that one doesn't look good. Okay? So basically that's what it is. So CDS is that. I have an example here. I don't want to go into it except that sometimes you might have to pay a lot of money because you anticipate on default of the bonds. But sometimes if you continue paying all money, you might even pay more than your interest rate. Let's say you are an investor buying bonds, right? You are an investor and you bought the bond $1,000 a par at one point. So you're receiving 6% from the company that you bought a $1,000 bond. So you're going to be getting $60 every year. But you worry. This company is going to default. So I go and buy a CDS against it. I have to pay to cover my investment. Let's say the CDS is 3%. So I get 60 and I pay 30. So net, I make 30. Now, it might be okay because I'm still getting positive number and I'm covered just in case things drop. If this defaults, it has to be default, not drop. If it defaults, then I'm gonna get my $1,000 back because I'm worried about the $1,000 at the end, 6 years from now. So I'm willing to pay a little 30 cents. But sometimes it's kind of interesting. Sometimes, which is interesting, why would you do that? Sometimes, if you bought $1,000 and you're getting 6%, let's say they got downgraded, you have like corruption, all kinds of things going on in the company. So now, the CDS price is 9%. Now, why would I get 6 and pay 9? Actually, I'm going to be paying negative 30. Why? Because the probability of default is so high that the difference between 1,000 and what the market is, so if the market, let's say, is going to drop to 300 to bankruptcy, that 700 difference is worth the 30 negative every year. See what I'm saying? So now the CDS became almost like you can tell when it's going to default. If this number, if the CDS was this, think about it. Actually, I've seen CDS like that. It's crazy. Greek CDSs before default, they were trading at 25%. In other words, you have to pay $250,000 towards the bond. Why so high? 25% you have to pay out. And the Greek government, if they don't default, they pay you 2%. They give you 2%, you pay 25%. So you're losing 22% a year. Why? Because it's going to default any minute now. And if it defaults, let's say it's going to go to 200. So at least you're going to get 1,000. So you're paying 250, 250, 250. You got 2-3 years before you start losing your money, basically. So sometimes the CDS go higher than the rate because the default is imminent. Because nobody's going to be selling you a CDS when you go into default. It would be stupid, except if you're AIG. AIG, they had to bail them out and fire all these people because they didn't know what they're doing. They couldn't price this thing. So that's for the CDS. Okay?
So when you buy these bonds, when you buy at the initial date that you buy the bonds, that's when you pick up.
Yeah, put 1,000 for it, make it easy. But if you buy that 850, let's say actually the company is twinkling in default. They haven't defaulted yet. They got downgraded to triple C, right? There's negotiations going on. They try to keep it out of default. The bankers are going in and out, and you want to make money, okay? And you feel that it's going to default. Now, somebody says it's not going to default. They're going to work it out. So you're going into a burning house, basically, to buy the house, okay? And hopefully it doesn't burn to ground. Hopefully you can, the fireman can put out the heat so you can have a little house to buy. You buy a burning house at a discount, but you hopefully it doesn't burn down to the ground. So you find in a way. So in your case, let's say I go in, I'm a little a vulture, I call them vulture funds. Vulture funds are set up like that to buy into distressed situation and recover some back. They're not going to recover 1,000, but recover something better. So they go in and buy the bond, let's say at 500, 50% discount, right? And the company pays 15%, the rate. Well, 10%, make it 10% originally. Well, 10% on 1,000. So you get $100 from this, and you bought it at 500, and hopefully it doesn't default. Now you buy a CDS with that. Let's say the